hopefully you can hear me. Okay. Presentation, okay. Mr. Organishak, board members, thank you. This has been a very exhaustive process for us. David, I know you kept mentioning 6 weeks. We only had 4, so we'll figure out where the other 2 went. All right, improving the budget document. I don't have it handy with me. At this minute, it's okay. It's the thick blue book that everybody's looking at. It looks like a dictionary. You know, when we as a board, when we as a committee met to discuss it, you know, one of the things that we found is, you know, it doesn't bring forward to the public the same way as a corporate budget would bring. Now, of course, it's not a corporation, it's not a private industry, but in one regard, I think many of us, certainly the taxpayers in the community, would like to look at the budget and say, wait a second, you know, how come I can't understand this? Why does it have to be in a foreign language to me? So you have to understand, and I think we're all in private business here, not public school systems, but that's the sort of approach that we took with this. And, you know, when it comes to cost saving and efficiency, you know, that's the sort of other approach that we looked at it from. We looked at the budget from the point of view for charging you, the board, to say, why is this a number the way that it is? Explain it to me. You know, I want to have a breakdown so that I feel comfortable, I understand what these major line items are. So form over substance sometimes, the presentation becomes very important. Up to the present, this New Rochelle School Administration had begun in a public discussion about the budget with the Board of Education, and the community comes in late February or early March. The problem is this doesn't leave, just like our committee was, you know, I'll say shortchanged for time, but it doesn't allow the community and it doesn't allow the option for an advisory board, an advisory committee like this to do its function. Other communities begin their process much earlier. We've included in the report that you have in front of you the White Plains 2012-2013 Proposed Budget Development Calendar, and you'll note that their board gets involved in December. The community gets involved in January, early January, January 11th, according to this. Okay. All right, budget format. To improve the ability to analyze the spending trends, in certain places in the budget, it shows comparative to a budget from 2 years ago where it was a full year, then a comparison to the actual budget from this past year, and then what the projected budget is going to be. The problem that we see is it's not consistent throughout the document. There are many areas where you'll see just a single column. This is the budget. This is what we're, you know, going to budget for. Adam made mention of a $200,000 miscellaneous item before. You know, that whole section dealing with repair and maintenance was simply, here's the budget, here's the budgeted number. We'd like to see throughout the document an organization where there's the prior year actual, the current year original budget as passed, the current year forecast, which consists of the year-to-date actual plus a remaining budget to complete the year. So it's a reforecasted, it's a forecasted 12-month budget. And then the next year's budget as a comparison. We would place variances. They're shown in yellow, the columns in yellow up there show the variances as to identify whether things went up or down. And if you looked at the budget right now, if we put this format in place right now, we would see huge differences in various line items between what was budgeted and what was actually spent. We'd also like to consolidate the budget into easy-to-read tables with descriptions and detail on the subsequent pages, which we show on the subsequent pages in the report. And we've attached samples from the White Plains budget, which we felt was a very good model for us to be able to follow. It can hopefully maybe even reduce the size of the book by having things in a more concise format. The description, the line item, the account code, and this column comparison would all be on the same page. Got it. Tax certiorari. Whoops. Where am I here? Presentation. Oh, yeah, that's right. Right now, it's been our practice not to budget for tax certiorari items. We know it's a big number. In this case, it's a train coming to hit us type of number. Normally, I say there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. In this case, it is a train. We don't budget for it. What we do is there are surpluses in various line items, and then in order to be able to fund the cost of certiorari, not necessarily done in this way, we sometimes do it through through bonding, but what happens is the board has to pass a resolution to reclass a line item in order to come up with enough fundable items, fundable amount to pay for certiorari or pay for that matter for any other item. That's why budgeting to as actual of an anticipated number is so crucially important. Over the years, going from 2005, we showed up here, you'll see in order to fund these items, $2.5 million in 05-06, starting at the top, $1.1 million, $2.5 million, $3 million, $5 million, and in 10-11, 600,000. So not a number to ignore, and something that we should definitely, look at, budget. It's a guess. Certainly with respect to this item, we don't really have any good way other than some various indicators and where the town assessor gives direction, factors that have to be taken into account. Implementation of a 5-year budget. The budget, accounting is an art of rear view mirror. Okay, you get your financial statement, you look in the past, all right, you know where you were. You know it too late, it's, 3 months, 6 months, a year later until you get a financial statement. Great. Then we developed the word budget, and we put together the 1-year budget, which is supposed to be a planning tool, but it's not just a financial planning tool, it's a guidance tool about, where projects and things are going to go that require, of all things, financial resources. A 5-year budget is really, and the budget itself is a forward-thinking tool, but a 5-year budget is, another stab at taking an educated guess, where am I going, what is it that, is coming down the road that I really have to think about. In this case, we've got the tax levy cap on our budget, which will restrain our resources. We know there's a 2% tax levy cap subject to certain permitted adjustments, and I'm not going to get into any of that. And we know that there are built-in escalators and our costs, things for salary increases, benefit increases. So we can make a rough guess in an educated way where these things are going to go. And I have to emphasize, this expected gap needs to be revealed to the Board of Education and the community so that we can plan to address a funding shortfall now rather than at the last minute. I mean, think about when we get down the road and there is a limit, and if we stay on the current calendar of events and we run into a shortfall of a time frame, the board and the school district is going to be forced into making some very friendly decisions, and we wouldn't have anticipated that or had a chance to react or more importantly, set a direction for where we want to go. Where do we want to be with staffing? And we may be here now, the goal may be here in order to meet that budget cap and meet that budget restriction, but if you have some foresight about that, during the next few years, we can make sure that we make that, put some objectives in place and in play to get to that final point. So here's an example. Wait, 5-year. Oh, I'm not showing an example of a 5-year budget, but the analysis should also include a projection of capital projects, by the way, so I don't forget to say that. And we should plan for what our capital projects are in the supply line and in the contracted services. Adam mentioned that there are various things: blacktopping, curbing, a $200,000 line item. By the way, that's not the smallest item. That is by far one of the biggest items. I don't want to dwell on it, but it signifies that there's a project there. The question is, are we making an evaluation of our physical plant and of our educational needs that may fit, IT equipment, computers, stuff like that, that need an investment and a direction for where we're going to invest, and not just, okay, we'll do it for this year and not look at the full 5-year plan. And I'm sorry to harp on that, but it is a very important direction to have. Reserve fund. We believe that the budget book, as it's currently prepared and published, has inadequate information about the complete fiscal position of the school district. The district has almost $16 million in potentially usable reserve accounts at the end of 2010-11 school year. Some of them are restricted use, some of them are for tax certiorari, they have specific purposes, but the fact of the matter is that there are funds, and we want to create clarity and transparency for the community to understand what it is that's there. In Mount Vernon School District, a budget format I'm not particularly fond about, but even in that school district, they themselves present what their fund balances are, and if this broadcast Mount Vernon, don't take offense to that.